Hello, everyone, and welcome to Southeast Iowa Union Sports Talk Live. I am your host, Andy Krutzinger, sports editor of the Southeast Iowa Union, and my co-host and right-hand man, Hunter Mollers, over there on the couch. Hunter, how many
Yes,
dogs
sir.
you got over there?
Two.
Got two dogs out?
They're
Ooh,
sleeping right now, though.
nice. Oh, we'll do a nice quiet. Do you ever put dog TV on for them?
Nope.
You have to buy. We did a free trial. We didn't buy it, but dog TV is a good, nice one for the younger pups. Now they don't really need it now. Opie doesn't need it now. It's
Keeps
older.
them occupied.
Yeah, I actually had a nice snuggle fest with my dog all night last night because my 5-year-old came into my bed, then literally kicked me out, so I had to sleep in her bed alone with the dog.
Nice.
Anyway, we're gonna talk a little basketball, a little bowling, a little wrestling, but first, let's just remind everyone who we're powered by. Hunter, who are we powered by?
Good old Fairway food stores.
Our favorite. Forever and for always. You know that Forever and for Always song? Who sung that?
I can't remember.
Yeah, they're all of our days. Is that Britney Spears, maybe?
Mm, I gotta look it up now.
Well, that song was written for Fairway by us. Shania Twain sung that song.
Shania
We're
Twain.
Shania Twain. We're gonna talk a little basketball. I'm gonna kick things off because I was at the Highway 1 rivalry on Friday, Hunter. Well, you were took a different highway to Chicago.
It was kind of a big. Yes, I did. It was kind of a big Friday night for SEC action.
Yes, it was, and finally we had a full night. I think since January 1st, I do not think that there had been a full night where all six teams were in action. There's always at least one that got postponed. So that's why if you guys look on Varsity Bound or on the newspaper or whatever and see the standings, they don't add up like, you'll have Fort Masson playing one less than Mount Pleasant or whatever. It's because we're not in the right flow right now because they're still making games and stuff. But I was at a previously scheduled Fairfield, Washington game. It was in Washington. You went to the first one that was in Fairfield, right?
Correct.
And in that one, I believe that Fairfield led the girls' game like the whole way, and Washington came back and won. And then Washington dominated the boys' game. Now, flip back to Washington. We're going to talk a little girls' action first. Final score in this one. Now I should actually bring it up so I can see the final score because I thought I had it written on my phone. The Washington Demons pulled out the season sweep of Fairfield. I believe the fourth win in a row in the series for Washington and a second close game. So I'm gonna make sure I got this final score for you guys correct here. But I can tell you it was 36-32 Washington girls, and this was a wild game for a few reasons. First off, Washington had the lead 14-8 after the first quarter. Adeline Long scored 10 points for the Demons in the first quarter. She was dominating. She outscored Fairfield in the first quarter. The very buzzer of the first quarter, she was driving and trying to get her 12th point, kind of landed awkwardly and got a lower body injury. We don't know how serious it is unless you found out last night. Basically, I know she wasn't playing last night, and she was out the rest of the game. So 10 points, and funny enough, she didn't play the next three quarters, and at the end of the night, she was still the leading scorer for the winning team because Washington had to go super balanced from that moment on. Fairfield did take advantage of it enough to take, so it was 19-14 at halftime, and then Fairfield actually took a 25-24 lead after three quarters. So it kind of mirrored the game that you saw, where it was tight going down to the wire. Fourth quarter, Fairfield had maybe five possessions in a row to start the fourth quarter that were turnovers. Washington kind of ramped it up. Washington had been pressing and stuff basically the whole game, but it finally started to kind of pay dividends a little bit. Washington's able to grab the lead back. They hit a bunch of big threes. Lauren Henriksen hit a huge three off of an inbounds play on the sideline. I think that made it a 4 or 5 point game, and Fairfield had plenty of chances because Washington missed a good amount of free throws down the stretch, but the Trojans could not get the offense flowing. Washington ends up winning this one, as I said, 36-32. And Adeline Long, as I said, 10 points. Addison Miller and Kendall Heinrichsen both had 8 for the Demons. Lauren Henriksen had 5 there for Washington. Savannah Hollander for Fairfield had 13 points, and Grace Lyons 7. So another close game between Washington and Fairfield girls basketball, and that hadn't been the case. I was looking back before this season. I'm going to read you since I'll just read since 2022 or 2020, Hunter. The Washington Fairfield girls basketball series. All right, here we go. Fairfield by 31, Fairfield by 33, Fairfield by 24, Fairfield by 24, Washington by 30, Washington by 29. Leading into this year, there had not been a close game for years and years. And this year we got 2 really tight ones, and we both got to see one. So maybe that's a sign of things to come with these 2 teams.
Right. And I think, it's just like obviously Washington had a very young squad, the past couple of years. And then, Fairfield, on the contrary, had, a pretty upperclassman led squad. And now we're kind of seeing a shift where, Fairfield's kind of the squad that is made up of some younger girls. Obviously, Savannah Hollander is kind of like the last remnants of that team that was, it was pretty dominant. So we're just kind of seeing a shift, which is, what you see at a lot of times in high school basketball where, there's like a shift between the teams, through the years. One class may be, pretty dominant, and then kind of shifts to some new girls that maybe have not seen, like the varsity minutes, and that's what we kind of see with Fairfield. Where it's only like Savannah Hollander maybe is the only kind of returning girl that has kind of that varsity level. And it's going to take time for those girls to kind of develop into that role. So, I mean, once again, we'll be probably talking about, who knows when that we'll be talking about the opposite side of the card. So,
yeah. Well, and you mentioned so Savannah Hollander and Brown Steele are the only 2 seniors for Fairfield. It was actually senior night for Washington, and only 1 senior scored. So that shows how good Washington's going to be in the future. Also, J.C. Berg had 2 points. Those are the only 2 out of seniors for the Demons. So besides Hollander and Steele and Berg, there are a lot of this will be a lot of the same kids. Macy Williams, Taylor Bartholomew for Washington are also pretty big players, and their seniors that didn't score that night. And then in the boys' game, now I remember you telling me all about the game in Fairfield that was just, all Washington from the get-go, right?
It was close. It was close
to
to
the
the beginning.
beginning.
Yeah, it was. I think if I remember right, it was 15-15 after the first quarter, but then kind of after that, Washington just kind of took over after that.
Yeah, well, this game that I was at, it was 14-13 after 1 quarter. Washington was up, and then Fairfield put on a dominant second quarter. They were up double digits on Washington at halftime. I of course have a question mark because I had forgotten how much. I think they're at 14 at halftime. It looked like Fairfield could do nothing wrong. Sam Wheaton had double digits in the first half, and he also had a little tip. And like how sometimes in basketball it just seems like everything is going wrong for you, and then the team that's on a roll almost always is the one that throws the last punch going into halftime. And it was just like that. It was a putback layup by Wheaton, and that made the score 28-16 at halftime. Fairfield outscored Washington 15-2 in the second quarter. And then here's the next 2 quarters, Hunter: 18-4 Washington and 22-6 Washington. That is a 40-10 Demon run to turn this thing into what looked like a Fairfield runaway into a Washington runaway. I mean, when you look at the final score, it's 18 points. You wouldn't believe when you watch the game that it's an 18-point game. But I will. I wanted to show kind of what Washington did to beat Fairfield, and I have the means to do it today because I'm in the office and I have this marker. So I'm going to take you on a little ride with me here, Hunter. Let's see if this works or it just totally blows it. So we got our whiteboard right here. We got the basketball hoop set up. Here's the Fairfield defense. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's the Washington offense. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is how Washington beat Fairfield. All right. They shot from behind this line, which is called the 3-point line, and they hit about like 100 3-pointers. So boom, 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 boom. Pretend this circle right here is freshman Nick Stone, fourth quarter. Boom, boom, boom. 3 3-pointers to start things out. That pretty much sunk Fairfield. So that is a win for the Demons there and a loss for the Trojans. So I wanted to buff the whiteboard out so I can show everyone the
Well
analytics of
done.
how that happened. In the end, it was Logan McDowell that had the points for Washington had 13. They had 5 guys have 9 points, between 9 and 13 points. Logan McDowell, 13, Roman Roth, 11. Nick Stone, Rajan Roth, and Drew Conrad all had 9. Kel Williams, 5. For Fairfield, Wheaton ends up with 18 points. Actually, he had 12 in the first half. The third quarter starts. Sam Wheaton comes down and I told him after the game, this was my favorite part of the entire game. He threw up a 3, banked it. Clearly, he was not trying to bank it, and so he gave one of these. He kind of did the 3, but he kind of did this, like kind of he was like confused. He's like, and the very next possession, he came down and hit a 3-pointer, swish, nothing but net, and then he did the exact same thing except he did this. It was very funny, and so it was like at that point you're like, all right, Fairfield's unstoppable, and then probably at that point Washington just bang, 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 3 after 3 after 3. So 56-38. The next day, Washington travels to Keokuk and beats Keokuk by what, 4 points. And now I'm clicking on the Washington version of RC Bound. I know Logan McDowell had 19 points and a road win over Keokuk. Washington dominated the first half, and that puts Washington right back in the race. They are 2 games behind Mount Pleasant in the SEC standings. And who do they play on Friday night?
Wait,
They play
Washington. Plays Mount Pleasant.
They play at Mount Pleasant. So now a marquee game on Friday night in Mount Pleasant. And you weren't at this game, but you wrote the story for the Mount Pleasant Fort Madison doubleheader. Tell me what went on down in the Hound Dome.
Yeah, one sec here. Let me pull up this. So first off, in the girls' matchup, obviously, Keokuk and Fort Madison pretty much. I mean, you can't not really say run away with it, but those two, Keokuk's kind of run away with it so far, or thus far, and then Fort Madison's kind of in that is in second right now, but they're kind of like those upper 2-tier teams, I'd say, right now as it's shaken out. But for Mount Pleasant, this one obviously a tough matchup against a stout Bloodhound squad. Couldn't find a lot on this game. They didn't have any like stats or anything, or even the quarter scoring and on Varsity Bound even yet. So Panthers fall in this one 45-22. I do know that 15 of those 22 points from Mount Pleasant came from Abby Carthy. So tough scoring night when you only have one player kind of score
Over half of them.
over half of the points. It's gonna be a tough night. But with the loss, the Panthers moved to 3-10, 1-4 in conference play. They're pretty much at this point the Panthers can't get into that title race, but new looking team. Bright future ahead. Obviously, a lot of young talent. They didn't even have a. Let's see. Do they even have a senior? I'm trying to think. One senior, I think. Haley Parrott is a senior, right? I think.
Yep, she's a senior. They have is Juliana Burns a senior? Or
Juliana
she a junior?
Burns, I think, might be a senior too. Maybe.
But a lot of their scoring and the sophomore class from Mount Pleasant is the kind of the nucleus of the team right now. They have 2, 3, 4 seniors or sophomores that get big time between Carthy and Kinley White's a sophomore and my started sophomore. I'm sure I'm missing one there. So it is a very young team.
Yep.
And Fort Madison is good. Fort Madison and Washington and Keokuk are kind of on a different level this year.
Yeah. I agree. And then on the boys' side, really big, really kind of huge game for Mount Pleasant on the boys' side, especially with the Keokuk loss. Obviously, Keokuk was kind of that second team that was right on Mount Pleasant's tail. Still is how their game played out, and this one played out. But Mount Pleasant suffers its first Southeast Conference loss in the final seconds to Fort Madison. It's kind of funny how this played out. They lost 50-50. And this one, you kind of saw it the first time. What it was a 2-point game. Once again, a 3-pointer made it a 2-point game, I think, or 1-point game the first time.
Yep. Early in the year.
But 52-50. The Panthers did, or wait,
So 53-52 was the last.
53-52, I'm thinking.
52-50 was the first one.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I was reading the story and I mentioned the one you were at, so that's
Yeah,
why I
I
was
knew
like,
that's what you're doing.
53-52 is what it was. Panthers did have a chance at the game winner, couldn't get it to fall in that one. So first conference off, still leading the conference standings with the Keokuk loss, but you mentioned Washington right there, as well as Burlington. I believe it's the Greyhounds that have one less game played.
Yeah, I think Fort Madison
Because
might. Well, there has to be two teams. I think it's
I think it's them and Fort Madison, honestly,
yeah, it's them and Fort Madison.
have
Um,
one less game played because they haven't played each other when they were supposed to because it got canceled because of weather.
yeah, yeah.
But the two teams were knotted at 24-24 at the half. Kind of what we expect, what we've seen from SEC games all season long, pretty tight. Um, the Panthers created just 2 points of separation through the third period. 39-37, they led headed into the fourth. But Fort Madison opened up the fourth period on a 7-0 run for a 5-point lead. Mount Pleasant did battle back, get back into it. But a 3-point play late ended up being the game winner. And as I mentioned, the Panthers got a shot at the game winner but couldn't get it to fall. Christian Stacy with 16 points in this one. Peyton Higgins with 12. Nate Stroud, a double-double, 11 points, 11 boards. David Truong, 10 points. Noah Lang, 3. And then, one positive for the Panthers on the night. I know I saw your message after I already put it in the story. I was like, well, at least I put it in. But senior Peyton
Oh yes.
Higgins notches his 1,000th career point. Tough night to notch the milestone, but congrats to him for reaching that milestone. Been one of the best scorers that we've covered. So
Yeah, and I think he had only like 4 or 5 to get coming in, so he probably he notched that pretty early on
yeah,
in the game. I was at the last Mount Pleasant home game, and look, he was just a couple shots away. I remember at the end of that one. So
yeah. So as it stands right now, Mount Pleasant's obviously the one loss, so they're 5-1. Keokuk 4-2. Like I said, Fort Madison's 3-2, but as I said, they haven't. They have that one less game played because of the cancellations. So Washington 4-3, and then Burlington 2-4, and then Fairfield obviously 0-6 down there. So big huge game, a huge matchup this Friday. Specifically, if Washington can really make a leap, beating Mount Pleasant, and then Keokuk can jump into that top spot too with a win and a Mount Pleasant loss. So
yeah, I'm actually looking to see who Keokuk plays right now. It's Keokuk host Fairfield. So then
yeah,
Burlington Fort Madison plays. So
Fairfield gave Keokuk a really really close game the first time around. So
they
uh,
sure did. In true SEC fashion, the first place race isn't as tight as it has been the last couple of years, but everyone has proven that they can play each other close.
yep,
There's not a lot of games in the SEC where you look up at the end of the first quarter and it's a 25-point game.
right,
Remember when I read those Fairfield Washington girl scores just a while ago? I want
yeah.
to read now the last 4 Mount Pleasant Fort Madison boys basketball games. Mount Pleasant by 1, Mount Pleasant by 2, Mount Pleasant by 2, Fort Madison by 1. So 4 straight games decided by 2 points or less. Some
Well,
thrillers. I'm ready for some more thrillers, and I don't have to wait long. Do you know why?
last night,
No, I was actually going to say. Oh yeah, you haven't talked about the Washington game last night.
Washington Atomo games.
That was a thriller. Talk about actually. No, talk about those games real quick, and then we'll go to commercial. I was setting up for our ad reads.
Oh, you're good. I'll just run through it real quick. Um, the girls game, obviously, the Tom were pretty good on both sides of the card, boys and girls. Without Adeline Long last night, obviously Washington's kind of go-to scorer. Mentioned the injury to her. Hope she's okay. 48-29, the Demons fall in this one. Uh, they were kind of red hot shooting out of the gate. It was 16-12 after a quarter, but the Bulldogs went on to close the first half on an 8-0 run and take a double-digit lead into the half, and pretty much they would just kind of keep that distance the rest of the way in that one. On the boys' side, really it was a tight one all the way down to the final, pretty much 40 seconds. Matoma kind of jumped out early, 25-16 after the first. Washington bounced back to make it a 2-point game at the half, 38-36. Atumwa led 53-49 heading into the fourth. And, the Demons had it at a 2-point game literally in the final minute. Had a couple chances to tie it up, take the lead, and whatnot. But really, the the Bulldogs ended the game on a 10-1 run, and 6 of those points literally came in the final 30 seconds. They notched a couple back-to-back steals, got a couple easy layups on the other end, and yeah, there was actually a tech as time expired at the end of that one for an Ottumwa player got teed up for basically like taunting. He did like one of those things where you yell, they like yelled at him after he scored on. I can't remember who it was.
There was a ton of people at the end of the Washington girls game too. I tuned into it and I could not figure out what was going on.
But yeah, the story of this game, obviously, Ottumwa would kind of build a lead. Washington get back into it. They did take a little lead there in the third period, but just couldn't pull away. And then it seemed like Ottumwa was just on the end of that run, end of one of those runs, just a little too late. And then, as I mentioned, notched a couple steals, caught a couple easy baskets on the other end, and they were able to pull it out there. So Washington loses 68-61 in this one, but Demons playing some good ball, showing signs of what they're capable of. Really young team, so got to be feeling good if you're Washington, especially playing how you've been playing as of late.
Yes, and they got everything ahead of them because if these games are going to be close, the top 4 teams are only separated by 2 games. So,
yep.
And you guys are only separated by 3 minutes from watching the B block of this show, and those 3 minutes are going to be filled with our sponsors. So stay tuned. Hunter's pointing at him right now, and actually, I don't know because we're on Zoom now. Is it like this? It's always below me. It might be this. I forget. Anyway, yeah, there you go. We are going to be back in 3 minutes, so we will see you and talk a little small school b-ball.
Federation Bank is a locally owned bank providing award-winning customer service. We believe that we are more than just a federation of banks, but a federation of communities, serving Brighton, Richland, Wellman, and Washington, Iowa. Federation Bank's highly skilled staff is here to make sure you are able to accomplish your personal and professional goals, whatever they may be. Federation Bank, your family bank.
Hospice isn't a place, it's a type of care that focuses on living. Servicing a 7-county area, the Hospice of Washington County staff of nurses, social work, hospice aides, spiritual and grief support, volunteers, music and massage therapists are able to provide free end-of-life care where the patient lives. We write wills, give consent for organ donation, but rarely is there a plan for what we would want the final phase of our lives. At Hospice of Washington County, we encourage our patients to be in charge of their healthcare decisions while maintaining quality of life.
Tammy takes the time and has the personal interest in each one of us. I don't worry about what's going to happen because I know my policy is taken care of.
She pulls what I need and puts it together, which is the program I get from her.
Every year she calls around September or so and says, there's changes again, and I'm going to do the best thing for you. It's been perfect. She does a great job.
At the Capper Auto Group, we put our customers' needs first and understand that everyone is as different as the vehicle they select. We offer new Ford, Chevrolet, Buick, GMC, Jeep, Chrysler, Dodge, and Ram vehicles in a friendly environment that puts you in the driver's seat. When it comes to service, we maintain factory-trained technicians and competitive pricing. The Capper Auto Group still believes that service after the sale provides the best customer experience. Come see the Capper experience for yourself.
I am Melissa Westfall with Homegirl Realty. Heather and Charlotte and I have worked together for many years, and we have always had a vision to have a business together.
I'm Charlotte Howard, and the good news is we bring a very high level of experience. We have a combined 80 plus years of experience in this real estate marketplace.
I'm Heather Merrick, and Homegirl Realty brings a lot of things to the table. We have phenomenal communication with our clients, buyers and sellers, to make sure things are going smoothly and you don't have anything to worry about.
Welcome back to Southeast Iowa Union Sports Talk Live. We're going to talk a little small school basketball action, and that small school basketball action will be powered by Fairway, as is everything on this this third rock from the sun we call our Hunter. You got a little girls basketball for us. So let me know
Yes, sir.
what happened this weekend.
Yeah, we've got the biggest performances were by Columbus and Mid Prairie, picking up a pair of wins. We've got Columbus kind of running away, you could say, with the Southeast Iowa Super Conference North. You mentioned the injury. We'll talk about that here maybe in a second here.
Yeah.
Well, questionable injury. We'll see what it is, but we've got Columbus, who's leading the North 43-42 in a tie win over Waco. So huge win for the Wildcats as they kind of try to keep running at the top of the standings. They're Lily Coyle led with 19 points, 11 rebounds. Isabel Rendon 9 points. Franny Sosa had 7 for Waco. Ella Housingay 13 points. Emma Wagler 11, and Brenna Graber had 8. And we mentioned, you mentioned to me, Lily Coyle down with injury. Hope everything's okay with her. She's a great player. Softball player, basketball player, been putting up some crazy stats as you mentioned. So
yeah, I got that text yesterday, and I was like, you've seen her basketball stats the last few weeks. It's crazy how many what she does for that team. So
and it's what's the biggest thing for me. Like I saw her against New London, is she's like not like tall. She's like pretty short, and she's
very short.
She's
like one of the shortest catchers in the softball.
Yeah, I think she's just like so like I don't even know.
Naturally athletic.
Yeah, like she just fights for everything. You know what I mean? She's got like kind of a fire about her, so I think that just makes her a great player. But mention them winning back-to-back games. Got another Southeast Iowa Super Conference North victory, 43-37 over Pekin. Coyle was out of this game, but the Wildcats get it done. Isabel Rendon again, 16 points for Columbus. Ariana Vergara 10, and Araceli Garza 8. Anna Hadley and Alex Parsons both finished 7 for Pekin, and Abby Geis followed with 6 points and 17 boards. The other team I mentioned, Mid Prairie, picks up back-to-back wins. I mentioned last week they had a tough week playing 3 straight ranked opponents. One of those being number 1 or number 2 Solon. I think I think they're number 2 in Class 3A, but Mid Prairie holds off West Liberty 49-42. Jovi Evans led the Golden Hawks with 20 points, Callie Huber 10, and Caitlin Harlan 6. The Golden Hawks' second win on Friday night. That first one was on Thursday. This is Friday night, 62-53 over West Branch. Jovi Evans once again leads the way, 16 points. Nora Pennington 15, and Callie Huber 8. Van Buren County 52-43 over Central Lee. The Warriors have been playing some pretty good ball. That's their back. I think that's back-to-back wins for them. Ivy Davidson 18 points, 15 rebounds. Sophia Girock 12 points, 6 boards. Marley Mertens 10 points and 6 boards. And then the rest of our teams, tough nights last week, losses for them. Wapello 50-32 over Winfield Mount Union. Madison Kellogg, she's going to be a stellar player for years to come. 21 game high, 21 points, 9 boards. Pacey Shield, 9 points. Maggie Hutton 2. Central Lee 54 over New London, who had 16 on Thursday night. Holy Trinity 65-22 over the Tigers in back-to-back games for New London there, and the Davis County 55-38 over Cardinal. So tough end of the week for a couple of our Union area teams, and then on the other side, pretty big week. Mid Prairie getting a couple wins, Columbus getting a couple wins, as well as Van Buren County there. So, yeah,
there you go. And then on the boys' side, we had Waco 82, Columbus 30-4. It was 40-5 at the end of the first quarter. Waco playing really good right now. Hunter Hughes 34 points. Those guys are at Highland tonight. That's one of the games that is on our penciled in on our schedule if it doesn't get canceled, is the Waco Highland games. Holy Trinity 77-39 over New London. Central Lee 90-57 over Van Buren County. Number 3, Winfield Mount Union, still undefeated. 83-33 over Wapello, a 50-point win for the Wolves there at the top of the North. And I'm going to show you real quick, if I was on the Winfield Mount Union basketball team, exactly how I would deal with it. Let's just pretend I'm a guard, and we're going to bring back out the board here. Here it is. You can see it. Let's pretend this is the defense. X, 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 X. And then we're going to put 2, here's some guards right here. Boom, boom, boom. these two big O's are Cam Buffington and Abram Edwards. And if I was any of these guys, I would just throw it really high. Nobody else can catch it. They catch it, dunk it. That's what happens, and that's how you're undefeated in the North this year if you're Winfield Union. So they are number 3, as I said, unbeaten and pretty much closing in. They got a couple hard North games here. I think that might be the end of the whiteboard for today, unfortunately, for the viewers. Hillcrest 67-50 to over Lone Tree. Davis County Cardinal. Davis County beats Cardinal 70-33. The next night, Cardinal had Wapello. And Jackson Lands of Wapello scored 41 on them, 76-55 Indians in that one. Mid Prairie and Bellevue had a crazy game. Bellevue pulls it out 89-83 despite a 7 3-point night for Ace Peck, whose name I just realized I spelled wrong. I spelled it AACE, like Aaron instead of ACE, which is the easiest name in the world to spell. Typo there. Apologies for that. He had 26 points in the loss, and Bryce and Dylan Henry both had 16. So boys and girls, small school, more losses than wins for the area teams. So and only a couple of those wins are over non-area teams. So it's kind of been flipped a lot of the time lately. It's been mostly wins. And by the way, as mentioned, Winfield Mount Union number 3 in Class 1A, Keota number 5 in Class 1A. Those two teams are getting so highly ranked that when they come out with the brackets, they might have to separate them because they're too good. I was kind of looking forward to it might be Winfield versus Keota to go to state. That might not happen because they might be too good to go against each other to go to state. So, what do you think about that?
And one of the most highly anticipated matchups coming tonight as Winfield Mount Union visits undefeated West Burlington.
Yes. The a battle of a couple of the best teams in the area. So we'll see if that might be a preview of the Super Conference Championship.
As well as it stands right now, it would be. I saw the funny thing. West Burlington's undefeated, and I think they're the only team that is undefeated left that isn't ranked.
That's crazy. I'm sure that really makes the people in West Burlington happy.
I know. I know that because of Samantha working there. So, and of course. I saw a tweet about it, and I was like, "Oh yeah, they're mad."
Yeah, I bet that reminds me of when Iowa football, it's like 10-1 and they're ranked like 18th and there's 3 lost teams at like 14, 15, 16. So
I know.
West Burlington. We'll see what happens there tonight. That's not on our originally schedule, but that might be a backup game for us to go to if the snow. It's just wreaking havoc. We're supposed to be at Winfield, Columbus, Wrestling Triangular. Pekin's going to be there tonight. Too, maybe we'll be there. We'll see. I got stuck getting out of my own stinking drive today, so we'll see.
The slush.
The slush is horrible. The slush is worse than the ice. But where you can get stuff to stop the slush.
Yeah, we've got a sponsor just for that.
Oh yeah, lots of them.
Yeah, lots of them.
So why don't you watch these commercials and then in the comments below tell us these are commercials for this next block. You tell us which of these sponsors that you trust more to take care of slush on the road.
Yeah,
and we'll be back in 3 minutes.
At 5 Star Community Credit Union, we want to help you lead a better life. We offer competitive rates and convenient appointment times for all kinds of loans: auto, recreational vehicles, home equity, line of credit, holiday, and personal loans. We make it easy to build your credit and enjoy the good things in life.
We invite you to join 5 Star Community Credit Union. We are community-minded and member-focused. Come visit our locations in West Burlington and Mount Pleasant or online at 5starcu.org. Federally insured through the NCUA, Equal Housing Lender.
Hello, hello, hello. Ooh, my hair's a little messed up today. True?
No, I was
Oh,
like,
was that just peace? Oh, that was just peace. Hello, hello, hello. Usually you say peace when you're saying bye, though. You say peace for hello.
I know.
Start doing that from now
I
on.
don't know. I don't know.
I noticed my hair was messed up. So last night I was putting my kid to bed, my 5-year-old, and she was like, my hair was getting a little long and it got in my eyes a little bit. And she said, "Dad, your hair's getting long. You kind of look like a cool guy you'd see on TV." And I was like, "Oh yeah, well your dad used to be a cool guy in college." And then she saw that I was getting a little too cocky about it, and so she's like, "Actually, Dad, you look more like a princess." So I was like, I only got the happiness for like a little bit. Anyway, we're gonna talk a little wrestling. Yeah, let's talk about the SEC duels first, Hunter. I'm just gonna go quick here. I was actually at the Fairfield Mount Pleasant duel on Thursday, and that was, of course, the old Highway 34 rivalry, and that one went to the Trojans. Fairfield over Mount Pleasant, 57-18. I'm clicking on right now, so if that's wrong, I apologize, but I'm almost positive. It was close at first, and then Fairfield basically won a huge scoop of matches kind of in the middleweights. Kason Miller is back for Fairfield. That was pretty big. Fairfield's getting a lot of good athletes back. Kason Miller's back for the boys wrestling team, and Cooper Polonsky is back for the boys basketball team. So good news there for the Trojans all around. But yeah, Fairfield over Mount Pleasant. The Panthers have lost a couple SEC matches since they won that first one over Keokuk, so they're kind of sneaking back into that kind of 5th out of 6th place. Keokuk still has not won yet. And then Hunter, you were at the Washington Burlington meet, correct?
Yeah. We talked about this, you and I, last week, is that Washington's pretty much wins this, and they're right there pretty much for that second spot. Obviously, Fort Madison kind of controlling the top there, still haven't lost in SEC duels, but Washington gets it done over the Greyhounds Burlington here, 42-30. So yet another nice performance for the Demons. Seems like every night they're taking on an SEC foe. They're pulling out 7, 8 wins on the mats there. So a lot of great wrestlers for the Demons this year. Only 2 upperclassmen, Lane Schrock and then Chase Griner. So those 2 have been wrestling well. Schrock lost his match a close 8-4 decision in this one, but Griner at 157, another big victory. He's kind of been dominating, really.
Yes, Griner's in general dominated wrestling, but yeah,
57-second pin in this one. So yeah, Washington, another win. Still just one Southeast Conference loss, and that's just Fort Madison who's leading. So
yeah, as up in the air as the basketball standings are for boys, the girls basketball and boys wrestling standings pretty much are as cut and clear as they can possibly be so far this season.
Yep.
So a couple things. First off, well, girls wrestling and Louisa Muscatine. But before I talk about the girls wrestling and Louisa Muscatine, I wanted to go back real quick to that Fairfield Mount Pleasant duel. It was a boys duel, but I wanted to say that there were a couple of girls matches. There, Paris Fozzi over Vienna. Paris Fozzi of Mount Pleasant over Vienna Gonzalez in 1 minute and 32 seconds, and then Katana Fang Ching Thong and Katie Scotton went to extra time. It actually ended up a pin in extra time. The match went at 6 minutes and 35 seconds. One of the best girls or boys matches that I've seen all year. Mount Pleasant comes ahead in that one too. So the Panthers took 2 of 2 from the Trojans, and those 2 in that last match. There's a picture, I think on the paper, but definitely online. That it was such a thrilling match. They just ended it with a big hug at the end. So I thought that was pretty. There's like, oh,
I love that when they're just like, they just
yeah, it was just like no hard feelings at all. It was one of the more back and forth matches that I've seen this year. And then the girls wrestlers as a team were at Louisa Muscatine. We had a few teams. Cardinal once again wrestling really well. They got third, 145 points. Columbus WMU, 75. They got seventh. Pekin, eighth, with 60 points. Fairfield, 12th with 32. And Mount Pleasant ends up, they got shut out. They got 16th. There was only one wrestler to take home a championship. Fairfield Samantha Lyons, 170-pound bracket. She won the championship on a 6-1 decision. So there you go. And girls wrestling regionals are this weekend. So we are getting very close to girls state wrestling, which is really the first major postseason event of the winter. So so there we go. What happened with the fellas, Hunter?
Yeah, we've got. I'll just run through here quick. We got Cardinal placing 17th at the Rich Gary Wrestling Invitational. Isaac Cox was the leading comment on the day at 285. Returning state qualifier from last year, 24 points for the squad there. Columbus WMU won 3 of 4. They hosted their home duels last Friday. Defeated Tipton 43-30, North Scott 54-12, Southeast Polk 69-12, and then the Wildcats' only loss was to West Liberty 38-33. Van Buren County placed 8th, New London 7th in the Louisa Muscatine tournament. The 10-team field, the Warriors scored 17 points, good enough for 8th. New London 66 points right behind for 9th. Tyler Stoltz and Corbin Camp led the Warriors with second place finishes at 144 and 132 respectively. And then for New London, Michael Raines was the first place finisher, 165. Kane Forstein second at 120, and Gavin Mickey Bailey third at 138. And then Riley Raines took 6th as well. Highland was 6th, Waco 8th at the Kurt Hischenberger Invitational. That was Belle Plains tournament. Highland posted 105.5 points for 6th. Waco 39.5 for 8th in that one. For the Huskies, Jack Pfeiffer and Luke Guzman 157 to 120. In 120, both placed first for the Huskies. And then Waco's lone winner was Loudon Housing Gate at 190. Gage Salmo second for the Warriors there at 113. And then Sigourney Kyoto places 6th at the North Tama Red Hawk Invitational. 111 points for the Cobras in this one. Jake Moore was first overall, 157. Their lone first placer on the day, and then Owen Minky placed second at 190. Brady Clark third at 132. So just a couple of the top finishers for each of the teams and team results as well there over the weekend for our smaller school boys wrestlers. So
there we go. We had a little bit of bowling. I was actually at some bowling in Mount Pleasant. Real quick here, Fairfield at Mount Pleasant and another Highway 34 ever on Thursday was just like the Iron Man and Woman competition between Fairfield and Mount Pleasant. Fairfield boys 27-21 to 26-04 over Mount Pleasant. Fairfield only had 2 of the top 5 and 1 of the top 3 individually, but that top scorer was 2023 state qualifier Ethan Cass, who went 474. His high game there was a 252. Connor Sizemore, a freshman, led Mount Pleasant 394. Henry Forts had Mount Pleasant's biggest high game at 220. On the girls' side, Mount Pleasant 2249 to 1500. Another win for the Mount Pleasant girls, who have kind of been on fire a little bit this year in the SEC girls ranks. Bethany Drury almost wins this by 100, 374 pins. Second was Madeline Millard for Mount Pleasant, 286. So Father Chad there, I'm sure, was pretty proud of her. Shout out to our sports colleague over in Ottumwa. Mount Pleasant's Addison Harris, Fairfield's Addison Harris went 246 to lead the Trojans. So that's what we had for a little bowling. And some breaking Fairfield bowling news. Fairfield bowling at Ottumwa canceled. Just tweeted out a couple seconds ago. So the first casualty, at least from the big schools, for today's winter sports. There you go. And that's all I got. Hunter, how we do on the NFL picks real quick? Did you go 4-0?
Oh, I did very well.
Oh, we both said Tampa Bay.
Oh yeah, we did. That's right. Well, I went 3-1.
You went 3-1. I went 2-2.
Yep. Third way. Yeah, because you chose the Bills and Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I definitely chose Bills and Tampa Bay. Well, there we
Man,
go.
what a game, man, dude! I was shaking in my boots
Yeah, I bet.
during the final 2 minutes, and then I was like, "Hey, time management, man, time management."
There are some great memes that came out of the Bills Chiefs game. The kick, the missed kick, and then the fake punt to DeMar Hamlin, like it was a
Yeah.
Disney movie or something.
The
But
fake-
apparently that might have been called on the field. I got deep into that because I was like, whatever. Anyway, so
yeah, because the Chiefs only had 10 players on the field. So
yeah,
they-
so yeah,
but
I
it was
wish they'd
still
have a.
4th and 5.
Yeah, I needed a couple players to do a little better than they did in that game, for my own wants and needs. On Thursday we'll make our Super Bowl picks.
That's good.
Yes, and hopefully we'll have other stuff to talk about because hopefully stuff does not get canceled. But so far things are already getting canceled. But that's all we have for Southeast Iowa Union Sports Talk today, and we will see you when, Hunter?
Thursday.
This Thursday.